Have you ever stared at a piece of library marketing content and thought to yourself, should this be a quick update or should this be a deep dive? Let's settle that today. Here is how to know if you should be using short form content or when it's time to go to long form content. We're going to talk about that in this episode of the Library Marketing Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Hursh, and I am the person behind the blog, superlibrarymarketing.com. Head on over there, scroll to the bottom on the left-hand corner. You can put your email address in there, and you'll get a notice every time I post. We also like to do this thing on the Library Marketing Show that I like to call kudos, which basically is when I give a shout out to a library for doing something in marketing that I think needs to be highlighted and celebrated. I'm always looking for nominations. You can click on the Library Marketing Show tab and send me a nomination. We're going to begin today's episode with kudos, which is going to a person. Today's kudos goes to Claudine Bennett, who does marketing for the Dayton Metro Library. Claudine was recently honored by PRSA, the Public Relations Society of America, I think is what that stands for. She has been named the PRSA Dayton Communications Professional of the Year. I think that's extraordinary, and here's why. We often see these awards going to people at sometimes at other nonprofits, but more likely it's usually some up and coming company, a startup, and it's a way to highlight the marketing of those kinds of for-profit companies. I have never, until now, seen an award like this given to a library marketing professional, and I think it's pretty extraordinary. They're honoring Claudine at a lunch. I'm going to put a link to the announcement down below, and I hope that you'll join me in telling Claudine congratulations. All right, let's get into today's topic, which is short form versus long form content. When should you use them? I put this episode together because I needed to go through this exercise myself as I'm doing some planning for the next year. We're going to start with short form content. What is it? Basically, when I say that, what I mean is social media posts, things like Instagram, X, TikTok, short videos, short reels, short TikToks, emails, maybe a one-off email with a couple of lines in it, or a blog post that is maybe 500 words or less. You use short form content for the following. A, just to grab attention. Let's say you got a big program coming up. You're not ready to announce maybe all of the information about it yet, but you want to build some excitement. Short form content is where you're going to use what you're going to use. Things like promoting events, especially if they're recurring events or if you're not spending a whole lot of money on the event, you'll want to use short form content. So let's say you know that your emails are often looked at by people on devices rather than a desktop. Short form content is really the way for you to go. All right, the opposite of short form, of course, is long form. What is long form content? Long blog posts, so anything over 500 words, something that involves some storytelling and some in-depth coverage. Also, videos that are longer than a minute. Sometimes I think, depending on how long they are, FAQs or tutorials for sure are types of long form content. Your annual report is long form content. All right, so what are some reasons you might use long form content? Number one, top of the line, if you have something that you're trying to explain and it's complex, definitely use long form content. This sometimes happens to me when I have someone writing a blog post for me. They may ask me, how long should the post be? And I always tell them it's as long as you need to explain the concept or the problem or to tell the story that you're needing to tell. Other thing I want you to think about is long form content is really good for improving SEO and website traffic. So what do I mean by that? The more text that is on your website, the more chances Google has to crawl your website, to categorize your content, and to serve it up to people who are searching. So you might want to think as you're writing about including some key phrases in your blog post or your landing page or whatever it is, if it's on your website, so that those words get picked up by the crawlers who will then show the results to people searching for you. My final point about long form content is that you may have heard people have the attention span of a goldfish. If you search that, though, you're going to find a lot of contradictory research that says actually people do pay attention to long form content. You know how we know this? They check books out of your library. Books are long form content. So if it's written well or presented well, if the video you're creating is long, but it's good and interesting, it doesn't matter the length. People will pay attention to long form content if it's well structured, if it's valuable, and if it's relevant. So those are my thoughts on short and long-term content. Do you have some tips for other viewers or readers about how you make the decision between which kind of content to create? I'd love to hear your opinions on it. Go ahead and leave a comment down below and we'll get a conversation started. And that is all for today's episode of the Library Marketing Show. But my channel, as you know, is full of other tips. You can head to this next video and I'll meet you there.